John Wesley Hardin was a man of lethal temper. His anger flared quickly. It often ended in death for someone else. One story tells much about him. Hardin was trying to sleep in a hotel room. This was in Abilene, Kansas, a rough cow town. A man in the next room snored loudly. The snoring disturbed Hardin. He could not find peace. His irritation grew with each passing moment. Hardin shouted at the man. He told him to be quiet. The snoring continued. Hardin became enraged. Instead, he grabbed his revolvers. He fired shots through the wall. The bullets ripped through the thin partition. They found their mark in the darkness of the adjoining room. The snoring stopped. Silence fell. The man in the next room was dead. He died for snoring. This act showed Hardin's cold-blooded nature. Few outlaws, even in the violent West, killed for such a trivial reason. This incident cemented Hardin's reputation as a man to be feared. John Wesley Hardin was born in Bonham, Texas. The year was 1853. His father was a Methodist preacher. He named his son after the founder of Methodism. The boy would walk a path far from piety. He grew up in a Texas still raw from the Civil War. Lawlessness was common. Violence was a part of life. Young Wes learned to handle firearms early. He became skilled with a pistol. His first killing occurred when he was just 15. The year was 1868. Hardin claimed he killed a former slave named Mage. He said Mage had attacked him. Hardin shot him in self-defense. This was his version of the story. Whether true or not, it set him on a new course. He became a fugitive. He fled from the law. He chose the outlaw trail instead of a courtroom. This first act of violence was a turning point. Hardin found he had a talent for killing. He also found he had little remorse. He moved from place to place. He tried to evade the authorities. His reputation began to grow. He was young. He was dangerous. After killing Mage, John Wesley Hardin was a marked man. He could not stay in one place for long. He drifted through Texas. He worked as a cowboy. He drove cattle up the Chisholm Trail. These were dangerous times. Hardin found plenty of it. He clashed with Native Americans. He argued with fellow cowboys. He had run-ins with soldiers and local lawmen. Each encounter often ended with gunfire. His body count began to rise steadily. Hardin was not a man to back down. He had a fierce pride. He had a quick temper. If he felt insulted or threatened, he reached for his guns. He was an expert shot. He practiced constantly. He often carried 2 Colt revolvers. He preferred the .44 caliber. He mastered the road agent's spin. This deceptive maneuver caught many an opponent off guard. His name started to spread. People spoke of Wes Hardin. They said he was a killer. John Wesley Hardin's list of victims grew longer with each passing year. He killed men in arguments. He killed men in gunfights. He killed men who tried to arrest him. One of his most infamous killings involved a circus. He reportedly shot a man who was part of a traveling show because he felt the man was making fun of Texas. His sensitivity to perceived slights made him a walking powder keg. The snoring incident in Abilene, Kansas in 1871 highlighted his volatile nature. He was there as a trail boss. After firing through the wall and killing the unfortunate snorer, he calmly climbed out a window. He fled onto the roof in his nightshirt. He knew the local law, led by Wild Bill Hickok, would be after him. He managed to escape Abilene. His skill with firearms was legendary. He favored a cross draw. He was ambidextrous. Stories circulated about his incredible marksmanship. Some said he could shoot a coin out of the air. While such tales might be exaggerated, there was no doubting his proficiency. He killed dozens of men. His reputation alone was enough to make most men think twice before confronting him. Hardin himself claimed to have killed over 40 men. Historians debate the exact number. John Wesley Hardin's reign of terror could not last forever. His notoriety grew too large. The rewards for his capture increased. Lawmen across Texas and beyond were determined to bring him in. The famed Pinkerton National Detective Agency was even hired at one point to track him down. But Hardin was cunning. He was always on the move. He used aliases. He had a network of sympathizers who would shelter him. For years he managed to stay one step ahead of his pursuers. The Texas Rangers, however, were relentless. They were a formidable force. Men like Captain Leander H. McNelly and Lieutenant John B. Armstrong were legendary Ranger trackers. They made it their mission to capture Hardin. The pursuit was long and arduous. It spanned several states. Hardin knew the Rangers were on his trail. They were persistent. They were skilled. The end of Hardin's run came in August 1877. It was not in Texas. It was in Pensacola, Florida. Hardin was traveling with his wife and children under an alias. Texas Ranger John B. Armstrong, along with local authorities, cornered him on a train. Once back in Texas, John Wesley Hardin faced the justice he had evaded for so long. He was tried for the 1874 murder of Charles Webb, a deputy sheriff in Brown County. Webb was a popular lawman. His killing had outraged many. The trial was swift. Hardin was found guilty. In September 1878, he was sentenced to 25 years in Huntsville Penitentiary. For a man who had lived so freely, a prison cell was a stark and brutal change. Life in Huntsville was tough, but Hardin adapted. He was a model prisoner, at least on the surface. He worked in the prison's Sunday school, he studied theology. He also began to study law. He showed a keen intellect. He was determined to make the most of his time. He even wrote an autobiography while incarcerated. In it, he tried to justify his actions. Despite his outward compliance, the old Hardin was still there. He was involved in several escape attempts. None were successful. They only added more time to his sentence. After serving 17 years, John Wesley Hardin was pardoned. Upon his release from prison, John Wesley Hardin moved to El Paso, Texas. He was admitted to the bar. He hung out his shingle as an attorney. It was a remarkable transformation. The killer had become a lawyer. He tried to build a new life. He sought respectability. He wanted to put his past behind him. But the shadow of his former life was long. His reputation preceded him. People knew who he was. They knew what he had done. The name John Wesley Hardin still evoked fear. His temper had not entirely mellowed. He was still quick to anger. He still carried a gun. He got into arguments. He made enemies. El Paso was a rough border town. Hardin, despite his legal profession, seemed drawn to the familiar elements of his past. He began an affair with Beulah Morose, the wife of one of his clients, Martin Morose. This affair would prove to be a fatal mistake. Martin Morose was eventually killed. Some suspected Hardin was involved. The situation grew tense. When people talk about Wild West outlaws, Billy the Kid often comes to mind. His legend is immense. He is romanticized. He is seen as a youthful rebel. But John Wesley Hardin was a different breed of killer. He was far deadlier. He was more ruthless. Billy the Kid, whose real name was Henry McCarty or William H. Bonney, is credited with killing around 21 men. This is a high number, but Hardin's tally was much higher. Hardin himself claimed over 40 victims. Even conservative estimates put his count well above the Kid's. The nature of their killings also differed. Many of Billy the Kid's killings occurred during the Lincoln County War. They were part of a larger conflict. Some were in self-defense or during escapes. While still violent, they often had a context of feud or survival. Hardin's violence was frequently more personal, more cold-blooded. He killed men for snoring. John Wesley Hardin's death in the Acme Saloon did not end his story. His legend lived on. It was a dark legend. It was one of violence and bloodshed. He was not romanticized like Jesse James or Billy the Kid. There were few ballads sung about Wes Hardin. Instead, his name became a byword for ruthless killing. He was remembered as one of the West's most prolific and dangerous gunmen. His autobiography, published after his death, offered his perspective, but it could not erase the trail of bodies he left behind. His reputation for deadliness remains potent. Historians and Western enthusiasts continue to debate his exact kill count. They analyze his gunfights. They study his life. He represents a brutal aspect of the American frontier. He was a product of a violent time, but he was also an architect of that violence. He chose his path. He embraced it. He became a master of the six-shooter. He used his skills to terrifying effect. His story is a cautionary tale about the allure of violence and the destructive power of an uncontrolled temper. Compared to other famous outlaws, Hardin stands out for his sheer lethality. While figures like Wild Bill Hickok were famed lawmen and gunfighters, their kills were often in the line of duty. Outlaws like the James Younger gang committed robberies and murders, but Hardin's violence was often more personal and frequent. He was a solo operator for much of his career.